Hello, I'm Frank DeJoy, CEO of Suavei, a cybersecurity company who specializes in protecting wireless devices attached to a network, or Internet of Things, IoT devices. As a brief intro, the company was founded in March of 2016, and we launched our enterprise SaaS product third quarter 2018. I come from the wireless industry with 30 years experience, including assignments such as leading the growth of AT&T's first wireless data network to $1 billion in annual revenues in 3 years, as well as leading the global launch of another recognized machine learning software company serving mobile operators, Spectrum Effect. Our CTO and CCO bring decades of cybersecurity experience to the company, including tenures at firms such as Tenable, Wallace, McAfee, and IBM. And it's during these tenures that the inspiration for Suavei was born, due to unmet customer needs for IoT device security. And out of these needs emerged our patent-pending SaaS product that makes it easy for businesses to manage their IoT device security, as well as their security across their wired critical infrastructure. To further describe the problem, you're likely aware billions of new IoT devices connect to corporate networks every year. Many of these new devices lack security capability, which exposes the networks to breach. For example, consider the case of a casino high roller database that was hacked through a connected thermometer in the aquarium. These sorts of issues happen all the time through device vulnerabilities such as open ports, default login credentials, or outdated software. As a result, today, nearly half of businesses are unaware of what IoT devices are attached to their networks or when those devices are breached. Suavei solves this problem with automation and a solution that gives enterprises the power to find and fix vulnerabilities directly from the tool. So what makes us different? Suavei's enterprise SaaS solution protects the IoT at the devices themselves. We use machine learning algorithms from day one to automate both device detection and ongoing scan calibrations in different corporate, industrial, and even remote environments with low bandwidth. RESTful APIs enable integration with existing tools, customized threat intelligence feeds, and alarming and patching capability directly from the tool. To illustrate what all this means with an example, it would take a large enterprise weeks, if not longer, to scan all their IoT devices with incumbent tools that would also clog their network and stress the devices. That's a long time to wait while your network is being attacked. With Suavei, that same scan would take hours, which would allow the businesses to both protect their IoT infrastructure, avoid costly breaches, as well as expand their operations, leveraging all the capabilities of a connected world. As far as our product, our technology has been validated during proof of concept trials and our technical due diligence with the Evo Nexus incubator in San Diego. To date, we've completed 8 proof of concept trials, with the last 4 converting to paying customers. We also have major enterprise proof of concepts planned with industry-leading firms such as ResMed, the largest connected medical device company in the world with 9 million, and Royal Bank of Canada's Innovation Group, with Royal Bank of Canada being the largest company in Canada with 16 million customers and 80,000 employees. As far as customer feedback, it's been very positive so far, based on our speed and value to protect their businesses. We're also starting to receive industry recognition, such as from the Pepperdine Graziano School of Business, as well as the Telecom Council, with this year's nomination for a Spiffy Award, and several other recognitions from San Diego. In terms of go-to-market, we're building an enterprise channel program with partners such as mobile operators, managed service providers, and technology integrators, so we can reach as many enterprise CISOs and CIOs as possible. As far as funding, we've raised $535,000 so far, with $375,000 in this year's active seed round. In summary, we're very excited about our technology, market traction, and unique ability to solve an imperative cybersecurity issue for the IoT ecosystem. Thank you. I look forward to your questions and further discussions throughout the show.
Great. Thank you very much. All right. Anybody have a question at the ready?
Are you identifying active threats that are happening right now or potential compromised devices on the network? Help me understand a little deeper.
We are identifying the threats and the open doors before the hackers find them. So,
Okay.
we're open ports, back doors into the core network.
Okay, so then are you doing that by looking at each individual device and scanning that device for vulnerabilities right now, or do you have a big database of vulnerabilities for things that have this signature?
We have a database of vulnerabilities. It's the CVE database that's in there by default.
Yeah.
We can add additional database streams, and businesses and organizations can also customize the feed. And as we scan every device, and we require no hardware or agents, it's all from the cloud, we scan every device with an active inventory of its hardware, its software, its ports, and even look for default logins, using very common logins, manufacturer defaults, or commonly used easy phrases.
And on a giant enterprise network, you can do that in hours?
Yes, we can.
Awesome. Cool.
One related question I had, as you assess these vulnerabilities, do you also look at integrating with a SIEM or a SOAR platform that a SOC, a Security Operations Center, would use? Is that in place or in plan?
Yes, we have RESTful APIs that allow us to integrate into existing tools to create a comprehensive defense in depth program. We can even be white labeled into an existing tool. If customers don't use our UI, our feelings won't be hurt. We want to share our technology and capabilities.
All right. It's interesting for me if we can jump. That would go back into panel, and you can stick with us, Frank. So we've had two presenters of the four talk about security. I mean, obviously we curate the presentation, so it's not necessarily a random mix. But Thad, when he came up, proposed to us that one of the reasons IoT hasn't been rapidly deployed is because of security risk. And so I was wondering, if, as a panel, if you guys could give us your take on that, and then we'll ask Frank to kind of add in as well. So are you in a full agreement with that? And like Hilti, you guys put all kinds of assets out there. How big a concern has that been for you?
Security is a concern. I would say more ease of use for the worker, and also the commercial price point for tracking a large volume of small value assets is not yet ready.
Do you find that's a balance?
We absolutely believe that security needs to be a necessary component. And we'd be even curious if
Let me ask you, do you have any tolerance for inconvenience? So would you like so it can't be any more inconvenient than it was as an analog tool. It has to provide the security and the connectivity without adding challenges.
That tends to be that's absolutely the pushback, because the contractor is not going to be a specialist in operating these systems and so forth. So they're going to ask, that can save X amount, but then I'm going to need to hire 2 more people to manage the system, and then the ROI is.
Plus, there's I think, I don't want to single out blue collar workers as the only people who reject tools. Certainly, all the white collar, we all do as well. If we get a computing device we don't like, but a tool that the user doesn't like, you may find breaks very frequently. In the case of like a Lime scooter, you may be pulling them out of the rivers and things like that. Like they're more prone to accidents with this kind of something of a sabotage effect. So there has to be of a benefit to the user and not necessarily inconvenience. That's a pretty interesting take. How do you guys feel about the concept of security as something that may be holding back or eventually moving IoT forward?
Security is absolutely critical, because ultimately it expands the attack surface multifold for an enterprise. And it opens up a lot of potential vulnerabilities all across, and that needs to be protected. It's not just about securing the network, but it's about securing the application, securing the data, and so on and so forth. So I think it's not a simple problem. It becomes multidimensional. And hence, being able to integrate that with a larger security architecture of an enterprise is, I think, critical. Whether it is IT security or OT security or IoT security, ultimately needs to come together.
All right, we'll let Thomas have a last crack at it.
We should also separate, in my opinion, when it comes to IoT, the consumer side of it and the SMB and the corporate side of it. On the SMB and on the corporate side, security is obviously a very big issue. On the consumer side, it should be, but I don't think it is that much. On the IoT side, if I look at my own house with all my kids running around and having all the devices and stuff and Nest cameras and everything else, I always feel a little bit uncomfortable about the security aspect. Like somebody said earlier, you know, there was like the temperature thing in the aquarium or something. I bet you somewhere in my house you will find that particular aquarium with that particular example, right? Makes me kind of nervous. That's where security should be playing a bigger role, although in that area it's more the convenience factor, ease of installation and ease of use.
Yep.
And that needs to be, I think the shift needs to be a little bit more to security.
Linking to what Gregg said.
We did some science on this with consumers, and when you ask them these generic questions about security and IoT, almost 100% of actual human beings would say, oh, that's crazy important to me, right? But if you say, what if I give you a little device that will tell you when The Bachelor is going to be on TV, but we'll save all the things you say. Yeah. Oh, cool, Bachelor, I'm in, right? So they will trade security for convenience every time, but they will all swear that we're holding back on IoT because of the security issues.
And not just that, they'll walk into Fry's and you'll have one these products are secured. These products are $5 cheaper.
Yeah.
A lot of you'll get a mix at that point, but a lot of people will pick that.
Yeah, and there was the time with SSL on web pages, right? You've got the little lock in the browser bar that tells you it's SSL. But we know from human studies that if you put a picture of a lock on the page, people will still think it's secure. And so the same thing is true with IoT devices. If we create a standard that puts a sticker on that with a picture of an apple, somebody will put a picture of an apple on the box and people will think it's secure. Doesn't matter.
I'm going to give the three rightmost people one more crack. So Christina and yep, go ahead.
Go for it.
Just one quick comment. We had earlier the question about privacy by design, and I think it's super important to actually also have security by design when you build an IoT solution, essentially. And I mean, just to give you a little bit of insight into the Vodafone IoT network, it is actually completely separate from the consumer network, and where we pretty much are with our smartphones on the network. So the IoT network is entirely enclosed, and therefore it allows already some of the security by design, essentially. So I think that's super important to have, and yeah.
Great. So I think we went back into panel mode. Frank, we'll let you wrap it up. You can give us a thought on this, and then we'll wrap it up.
Yeah, I think it's critical. I'm amazed as I speak to CISOs and CIOs in the industry that half are not even addressing the IoT device issue because it's so manual and cumbersome. And the hackers know this. The rate of attacks on IoT devices grew 300% this year. It's in the billions. And the problem's only going to get more pronounced with 5G's high bandwidth and low latency. It'll impact the scope and depth of the attacks. So I think it's something that needs to be addressed sooner rather than later.
Great. So with that, thank you, Frank, for your presentation.